y'all, it's Care. For today's video, I thought it'd be really fun to talk about a list of books that I want to read before 2021 is over. I'm not quite sure if I'm gonna hit that 100 book goal that I have again this year, but I think I've read like 70 something books so far, and I don't know. If I could get through all of these books, it will make a substantial dent in the books that I have remaining before I hit that 100 book mark. You see what I'm saying? But before we get to talking about all the books I'm just so excited about, first we need to talk about the sponsor of today's video, Book of the Month. Book of the Month! Book of the Month is an incredibly popular and fast-growing online book service for readers whose mission is to promote new and emerging authors and also help readers find books that they're absolutely gonna love. Each month, the Book of the Month team vets hundreds of books to give readers their choice from a curated selection of new and sometimes even early released titles, so you can spend more time reading and less time researching. That means that out of every book that is released each month, their team picks the 5 that they think that we're going to like the best. I've been a Book of the Month member for over a year now. Like, this really is a wonderful service. They have the best prices for new hardcover fiction. If you sign up now, you can get your first book for $9.99 using the promo code COZY. And, you know, if you frequent bookstores like I do, new hardcover fiction ranges between like $26, $28, $32. Getting your first book for $9.99, oh my goodness, what a steal. Book of the Month is completely risk-free. You can skip any month, anytime, and you will not be charged. Oh, and I also want to mention that first-time members can sign up with any book that you want from the service, including add-ons, and I hadn't mentioned those yet, but along with the 5 selections for each month, there are also add-on selections, and you can add up to 2 books in your box each month. So let me just go through and tell you a little bit about each of them. I have the 5 Book of the Month selections for the month of November, along with 2 add-ons. Super exciting. Let's start with the book that would have been my November pick this month. It's a thriller called The Collective by Alison Galen. Hell hath no fury like a mother scorned in this propulsive story of rage, injustice, and the limits of revenge. We also have A Little Hope by Ethan Joella, a contemporary fiction novel that's an ode to the beauty of the everyday. This novel traces the losses, loves, and dreams of a small Connecticut town. The Keeper of the Night by Kylie Lee Baker, a young adult debut about Ren Scarborough, who is on a journey to impress the goddess of death in this riveting story of monsters, magic, and reapers. The Family by Naomi Krupitsky, a historical fiction novel set in mid-century Brooklyn. This is a story of a decades-long friendship between 2 women bound by the sins of their fathers. And How to Marry Keanu Reeves in 90 Days by K.M. Jackson. In this romance, 2 friends take a wild road trip to stop the world's most eligible bachelor from making a big mistake, getting married. Along with the 5 November selections, Book of the Month also so kindly sent me 2 nonfiction add-ons. We have Will, a memoir by Will Smith with Mark Manson. Brave, astonishing, and inspiring, Will Smith's memoir is a profound, entertaining journey of self-knowledge. And lastly, we have a collection of essays called My Body by Emily Ratajkowski. How should a woman be? These sharp, vibrant essays offer one woman's heartfelt and rich search for answers. So go on over to Book of the Month's website, bookofthemonth.com, or check out the link in my description box below and use promo code COZY to get your first book for $9.99. Thanks again, Book of the Month, for sponsoring this video. Okay, now on to all the books that I'm gonna try to read before 2021 is over. I think I mentioned this, but I've read like 72 books so far this year. This is a list of only 20 books, but I don't want to give everything away. I want to give myself a little bit of space to mood read if I want to, maybe join some like last second book clubs, maybe I have some secret TBRs in mind. I don't know. Every time I speak a secret TBR into existence, it ends up not happening. So I'm just like, I'm not putting some of those books on this list. What I do have though is I have 2 different categories of books to talk about today. The first one is going to be winter vibes. I want to read a bunch of books about snow and featuring snow. You know me. So I've got 10 books in that category to talk about, and then next we will talk about all of the books that I've started this year and haven't finished yet. Well, maybe not all of them, that would be way too embarrassing, but like 10 of them, along with like 2 or so book club commitments that I'm in. Yeah. So let's go ahead and start with the winter vibes list. I would absolutely love to read The Child Finder before the end of the year. This is about a little girl who goes missing when her family goes to pick out a Christmas tree. So they're at a Christmas tree farm and the girl goes missing. And so her family recruits this woman who is known as the child finder, hopefully to find their child. The child finder's name is Naomi, and she's pretty much this family's last hope at finding their daughter, and readers soon find out that Naomi actually had been a missing child herself. This book takes place in the Pacific Northwest. It's going to be in a forest. I'm really excited for the atmosphere we have going on. I mean, just the cover alone. I don't know how much it's showing up on camera, but it's very iridescent. Spine is beautiful. I love when something's like that gradient green to blue. It is so nice looking. I also really want to get around to Forever Wild by K.A. Tucker. This is the third and kind of final-ish installment in the Simple Wild series, following the love story of Calla and Jonah. Simple Wild is one of my favorite romances of all time, and this is just like a nice little Christmassy novella. I am so excited for this book to take place in the holiday season in this Alaskan setting, because so far I feel like we haven't gotten to see Christmas in Alaska yet. So this will be the one where we get to do it. The next book is something that I am going to have a really hard time reading. It's one of my worst fears ever. This book is called 3 Hours by Rosamund Lupton, and I first saw this recommendation from Emma from Drinking by My Shelf. She is one of my favorite booktubers. Absolutely love her. Obsessed with her recommendations. I really want to do like a taste test video reading her faves soon. Probably not by the end of the year, but like at some point, because I love her so much. Anyway, I really want to read this book because it's going to push me outside of my comfort zone. It's about a school shooting and a school shooter, and the entire book takes place over the course of 3 hours. So it's going to be super intense, and I honestly don't know if I'm going to be able to handle it. I can handle reading about so much. I love reading about, you know, horror, guts, and gore when it seems like it's more in a fictionalized setting. I don't know if the school shooting is going to feel like too much for me. I rarely do this, but I really want to read the short description to you from the back of this book because it's so concise, and if the writing style in this book is anything like how just like the blurb on the back of the book is written, it's gonna be really tough to get through. So listen here. Listen here. Sound like my mom. In rural Somerset, in the middle of a blizzard, the unthinkable happens. A school is under siege. Pupils and teachers barricade themselves into classrooms, the library, the theater. The headmaster lies wounded in the library, unable to help his trapped students and staff. Outside, a policed psychiatrist must identify the gunman, while parents gather desperate for news. In 3 intense hours, all must find the courage to stand up to evil and to save the people they love. So not only is all of this horror going on, but it's also happening in the middle of a blizzard, which is just gonna put everything, I just feel like that's gonna take it to the next level of, you know, throwing a wrench in everyone's plans to escape, possibly, or to survive. It's gonna be so good. I just know it is, and I hope it's a new favorite for me, and I just want to thank Emma for recommending it so highly. Next is one I don't know too much about, but I didn't read it last winter and I really want to get around to it this year. It's The Smell of Other People's Houses. Who wrote this? By Bonnie Sue Hitchcock. Okay. I'm not sure what genre this is. I'm leaning towards saying it's just straight up literary fiction. It might be contemporary. Now that I'm saying it, it's probably contemporary. But it's about 4 people's lives who live in Alaska and how their lives actually are intertwined with one another. That type of description is really spot on for books that I used to read a lot of. And here recently I've been on my mystery thriller horror kick. So I think it'll be nice to have this short little read. It's only like 200, just over 200 pages. So I feel like maybe this could spark something for me to read more contemporary work in 2022. I don't know. It could happen. Next, Near the Bone by Christina Henry. Gabby from Gabby Reads recommended this super highly, and I don't miss any of her recommendations. If she tells me to read it, I'm gonna read it. Can you see? We have isolated setting, we have snowy cabin, snowy mountains, darkness, horror. It's about a woman trapped on a mountain in a cabin with a man who is a dangerous man, and then also she's afraid of something that is outside. So she's gonna go through this, I'm sure she's going through like external struggles, but she's also going through this internal struggle of staying in here with the known danger or going out there with the unknown danger. I don't know. But I do know that 3 strangers are gonna come wandering up trying to like hunt, I guess, whatever is in the woods, and that is going to anger the man that the woman is trapped with. It sounds really good. It sounds like it's gonna be a high octane book. Am I using that term correctly? I feel like I see that described. Let's look up what high octane means. Okay, it can be, where'd it go? Forceful or intense. Okay, I'm gonna tell you the definition that I have given high octane just in my opinion. In my opinion, high octane means that there's like a lot of pressure and it's like everything's building and then it's like bursts, like high octane. So if you ever hear me describe a book that way, that's what I think that it means. Yeah, really want to get to this. This is probably one of the ones I'm gonna get to super soon because I would really love to read it in November and then know if you need to read it in December when it is actually winter time. Okay. While we're talking about Near the Bone, let's go ahead and knock out Misery by Stephen King because I was supposed to read this last year. I still have my bookmark in here. I made it to page 62, which is, I mean, that probably took me a few nights to get that far. Misery by Stephen King, I mean, even if you're not sure what the book is about, I'm sure you've heard of it. This is one of his most classic works, and I like Stephen King. I'm not like a super fan or anything, but I like Stephen King books. Misery, though, felt different, and I feel like a lot of people love Misery and then don't like his other stuff, and then maybe vice versa, because I'm not sure if Misery is for me. My elevator pitch for it is that it's about an author who is in a terrible accident and then he is rescued by his #1 fan, and they're stuck together out in the middle of nowhere in her house in the snow, in this terrible snowstorm, and she holds him hostage. Yeah, that's all you need to know going in. I mean, that's really all I know. If I can find an audiobook for Misery, I will read it. One thing that Stephen King does, and that he does in this book, they're cheating me out of blank spaces on pages, okay? And I don't know why that bothers me, but it really gets in my mind. Here we see I've stopped on chapter 23. Where is my page break? I need a reward. Okay, this next one looks super fun. It's called Window Shopping by Tessa Bailey. I've read a few Tessa Bailey books and I really like her. I'll say it. I like Tessa Bailey. I didn't really like Fix Her Up, but I think she knows how to write romance. I'm so embarrassed to say I've read the back of this book like 50 times and I have no idea what it's about. Like I don't know what this book is about because the back is written like a riddle or like a limerick. I don't know. It's like written in code. Am I just dumb? I can't figure it out, but it's about a man and a woman. I don't know what this book is about. I've seen people shelve it on Goodreads as like an opposites attract romance, and this one is also like super short, 250 pages, and it takes place like 2 weeks before Christmas. So cute. Really excited for this one, even though I don't really know what it is. Transitioning back into horror now, really want to read The Winter People by Jennifer McMahon. This is another author that Gabby from Gabby Reads has been hyping up for me recently, and I have not checked out any of Jennifer's work. So I really want to start with The Winter People this November, December. It's going to be told in 2 different timelines. We have the present day and the past. That's what that means. So in the present, a family is living out on this farm, and I think the daughter goes missing or something's up with the daughter. But then there's also this historical mystery of a woman who was found dead there, like a long time ago. And I think that the mother becomes obsessed with that historical mystery while the present day mystery is ongoing. Every sentence that I just said had that like upward inflection at the end, like da-da-da-da-da, question mark? I don't know. This sounds like it has potential to be super sad. Like this one might be a downer. I think it's gonna be haunting. I think that if I do like this author's stuff, then I've got a ton of her backlist I can go through and enjoy. But The Winter People, I gotta read it at the end of the year, right? Or maybe January, possibly. I don't know. This is my end of the year video, so probably December. Lastly for this category, we have The Sanatorium by Sarah Pierce. I'm on page 50. Unfortunately, I've lost the dust jacket for The Sanatorium, so I'll have to put it up here. I took it to work with me when I used to work at the tennis court still, and I don't know where the dust jacket is, and I'm not going back up there. Like I'm not going back. The Sanatorium is another book with that snowy, isolated setting, and it's taking place around an engagement party, and it's weird so far. The prologue and like first bit of this book were so good to me. It was so creepy, and like something actually kind of scary happens like in the first few pages that put me on edge. And then as I kept reading, we were getting these new perspectives that were just throwing me out of that scary horror mood. It was just like, oh my gosh, we're getting all these new characters. So maybe once I loop through each of the perspectives a few more times, I'll feel more into it. I really want it to be a locked door thriller, like a bunch of people in one place, people are dying, and there's someone responsible. That's what I think the book is gonna be. And since it's isolated and all, you know, the suspects are all grouped together right there in one. We will see. I do think I'll get around to it this year, even though now that I've got all these books together, I've put some really long ones on the list. Like that book is pretty long, so hopefully I can get to it by the end of the year. Okay, we've made it to category 2 in the video. I'm gonna go much faster through these because most of these are books that I have already talked about on my channel this year because I'm in the middle of most of them. But there are 2 that I've not started yet that I want to talk about first that I need to read before the end of the year, 100%. So the first is False Witness by Karen Slaughter. This is going to be the book troop pick for November for Gabby Reads Book Club, and my good friend Haley Hughes, her channel name is Haley Hughes, we'll link her in the description. She's going to be Gabby's guest host, like her little co-host for this month. Haley is just the Karen Slaughter queen. We both just worship Karen, and just, I mean, Karen Slaughter's one of my favorite authors ever, if not my favorite, and I am just so excited about this new standalone book. I'm so something else. I need to show you the book. Okay, here it is. I think this is gonna be a mix between being like a legal thriller and a family drama. It's about a woman who is both a lawyer and a mom, and she has to take on a case that she really doesn't want to take on, and I'm not going to get into all the reasons behind it because I got to keep these descriptions shorter. But if you know Karen, you know she's going to throw in like just the most horrifying scenes and sentences and descriptions that you've ever read in your life. So couldn't be more excited to start this one ASAP. I also need to read The Lighthouse Witches by CJ Cook. I've not read anything from CJ before, but Savannah Sav from Riveting Reads has a book club. It's called the Lights Out Book Club, and I will link to all of that information down in the description, of course. She has asked me to be her November co-host for her book club. The live show is going to be, I want to say November 28th, and it's going to be like 8 p.m. Eastern time. A quick little search just showed me, that was me typing, I guess. Anyway, the book is about these 2 sisters who go missing on a remote Scottish island, and then 20 years later, one of them is found, but she is like still the same age. Super weird, right? It's a gothic thriller, and it sounds weird enough to where we're gonna have like a great conversation around it, like a lot of things to discuss about this book for that live show. So now getting on to just the books that I have started and need to finish before the year is over. The Perfect Stranger by Megan Miranda. I'm about halfway through this book, and it's about this woman whose roommate has gone missing, and is she a suspect? Does she know things that maybe she's withholding from the police? A lot of small town drama going on like that. And you know, I like it. I like Megan Miranda. I didn't care for her new release at all. I was kind of reading those at the same time, and as what was it called? Such a Quiet Place. While I was reading that, I just got so put off from her for a minute. I kind of put this one down too, but I have potential to possibly enjoy this one by the time I finish it. I also need to finish Dreams of Falling. You can see I'm like 3/4 or more actually of the way through with this one, and I am just not having a good time. And typically I would just DNF at this point, but this is one of my mom's favorite books. She got this for me and she wanted me to read it, and like she has since told me like, please just put it down if you don't like it. But at this point I'm trying to hit that Goodreads goal, and I only have like 100 pages left, or actually less at this point, so would really like to finish it up if possible. This is more like a historical mystery book. It's not really a thriller. We just have a lot of family drama going on. A woman who said she was never gonna return to her hometown is forced to come back when her mom is in this horrible accident. She has to go to the hospital, and then when she does, these family secrets are dug up. So we're getting perspectives from the present, and then we're also going back in time and seeing some things that happened historically that kind of led to the position everyone is in at this point. Okay, one that I'm really excited about and excited to finish is The Chosen and the Beautiful by Nhi Vo. This is I don't want to say it's a retelling. This is like a reimagining of The Great Gatsby by by Zelda Fitzgerald, by what's his name? Scott Fitzgerald. And I've heard a ton of complaints about this book, that this is literally just The Great Gatsby, like the same exact story, but just like told from a different perspective. And I'm over here like, yeah, that's what the book said it was gonna be. Like, that's what it is, and that's exactly why I'm loving it so much. So this book is actually told from the perspective of Jordan, who is one of the like side characters in The Great Gatsby. She's one of Daisy's friends. She's a professional golfer, and when I read The Great Gatsby, also, did I mention Great Gatsby is like one of my favorite books of all time, and I mean that completely like unironically. I just really love The Great Gatsby. I collect the graphic novel versions of it. I don't know, I love it. Anyway, so not only is this book different because it's told from Jordan's perspective, but you know, in the original book, Jordan was presumably a white woman, and in this book, this reimagining. She is an Asian woman, she's Vietnamese, and she's also queer, and also she has the magical ability to like make paper come to life. It's a lot going on. This next one is so laughable. Like, I almost wasn't even gonna put this one in the video. I need to finish The Passengers by John Mars. I've been reading it for like a year, over a year now, and I like it, but I'm never in the mood to read it. It's a tech thriller about self-driving cars gone wrong. It's really intense. Basically, what if you're in your self-driving car one day and then the doors lock and you start speeding and you can't stop the car, and then there are other people that this is happening to, and ultimately all the cars are gonna like crash into each other at high speed. And not only that, but like it's being live streamed to the world, and they're getting to vote on who they want to die next. And then say you vote someone out, these people have hacked it to where like they'll explode your car. Like, it sounds crazy, but I just never like want to sit down and read that after work. Obviously it's really fast paced and it has really short chapters, so whenever I do decide to like sit down and knock it out, it shouldn't take too long. Next, I really need to finish the final revival of Opal and Nev by Donnie Walton. I started this book from listening to it on audio. I did put a bookmark in though. I'm on page like 50-ish, maybe a little bit farther. And I really like the audiobook narration, and I very vividly remember when I first started this book, I made some bold claim on Goodreads that it was gonna be one of my new all-time favorite books. It's told kind of in that interview style, like Daisy Jones and the Six was. This book is about an unlikely duo, Opal and Neville, and they make rock music together and they're successful, but then, you know, this is going on like in the past. They go through some civil rights issues, and now in the present day, Opal's like, should I do this reunion thing with Nev? So we're learning the history of everything that happened through these series of interviews. I love this form of storytelling, and I think that anything told in an interview format like that, it's really cool to listen to it on audio. So if you can read this book that way, I would recommend checking it out. This is another super long one. I don't know why I did this to myself. Anyway, I need to finish Survive the Night by Riley Sager. I'm hoping to actually finish this one up maybe tonight. I don't love it, I don't hate it. I feel like this one has such polarizing reviews and I'm just right in the middle. Riley Sager is one of my favorite thriller authors. This one is a little disappointing to me so far, but it's about a girl trying to get home from college, and she signs up for a rideshare board and gets into the car with a guy who may or may not be the campus killer, because forgot to tell you, but people are like being murdered on the campus that she's trying to leave. Sounds like a good plot, but I don't know about this execution. So I would have finished The Venue by TJ Payne a long time ago if my book hadn't straight up melted. My book melted at the pool this summer, and I only have like 60 pages left, but I was so put off after that. These pages melted out of my book, and I don't know what page I was on because I got mad when it happened and I like didn't mark it, and I just it's been a long time now, but I'm almost done, and I actually was really liking this. This is a horror book. This is so funny, like I'm just holding it with no pages in it. It's about this wedding, and the venue where the wedding is taking place, all I'm gonna say is it's basically like battle royale, and it's like this whole revenge thing. You find that out like right up front. That's not a twist. That's not a big twist in the book. It's just really bloody, dramatic, and just completely over the top. I feel like it's a pretty underrated choice, and if you like horror, then you might like The Venue. And last but not least, we have Friday Black. This is a collection of horror short stories. I have read the first, I want to say 4 stories in this, and it is so good. I love collections of short stories, especially when they are horror, because a lot of times I feel like with that genre, less is more. This author is exposing violence and injustice that Black people face every day. He's talking about that in this book, but also it's layered within, like I just said, over the top gore and horror. And I love that combination of things. I love it when real life horror meets fictional horror. I think that's a really cool way to tell a story, and I feel like this is one that I'm just not hearing people talk about enough. Okay, that's it for the video. Thank you so much for watching, and thanks again to Book of the Month for sponsoring this video. Remember, go check out the link in my description or go to bookofthemonth.com and use the promo code COZY to get your first book of the month for $9.99. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!